Hello everyone and welcome to the mini test solving of lecture 18 mini test. And here it is. If you haven't been in the lesson, here's the mini test for you to solve. If you have been, let's get ahead by solving. So our first exercise wanted us to find the b value in our triangle. Here we have given alpha, beta, and the length of a. Since we have alpha and a, which are supposedly two opposite sides, the angle opposite to the side, and beta supposedly opposite to b, we can use the sine law. So a divided by sine of alpha equals to b divided by sine of beta. Now we isolate b and solve for it. So sine beta times a divided by sine alpha. We insert in the angles and the centimeters. We estimate the values of these functions and we get roughly 13.1. This is because when we get to statistics, which is actually, I think, one of the close future lessons, you will see why it's important to work the way we work. You're not supposed to solve the function, write out the result, round it to a certain decimal place, and then keep working with that, because that just drags in extra errors. You're technically supposed to enter it all in the calculator and then round it at the end, because if you use these, you're gonna get 13.02, which does not round up to 13.1, but if you use the functions, so sine, cosine, and sine beta times a divided by sine alpha, you're gonna get 13.07, or is it 13.04? No, 457. I don't know, I forgot. Basically, the calculator tells me it's 13.1. If it is, it must be you that tells me if it is or not. Anyway, this is the process of how you solve it, and let's get ahead in the task number 2. Here we need to find the z value. We're giving the x and y sides, and we're giving the angles opposite to z and opposite to x. Here we can solve this in one of two ways. We can either use sine law or cosine law. I will use the cosine law since we did the other one before. We remember that cosine law is like a Pythagorean theorem, but from it we subtract 2 times the product of both other sides times cosine of the angle opposite to the side we're calculating. So in this case, theta, which is opposite to z. We insert the values, we square them and approximate. Again, you shouldn't approximate this like this and just solve for it, but we multiply these together and then plus 149, and we get 55.3 squared centimeters. This is the z squared. For z, we have to take a square root of that and we get 7.44 centimeters. Pretty easy, pretty simple. For our last task, we had to evaluate the value of sine of 75 degrees and not use a calculator. This is done with the sum formula and the tables. So the formula for sine of the sum is sine, cosine, cosine, sine. And for angles, we have the table which involves 30, 45, 60, and 90. And it makes sense we use 30 and 45. So let's say alpha will be 30 and 45 is cosine on b, b is 45. Beta is 45. So we insert them and now we replace the values with the table ones. Then we multiply the fractions inside each term. So we get 2 terms that we can add together because their denominators are the same. And we could either factor it or we don't, whichever you prefer. This is basically the process of how you get the result. Either of the two would be fine. Me, personally, I would prefer the right one because, well, looks simpler, like 2 terms on top divided by 4. Here there's brackets and complications, so... But yeah. This is it for the mini test. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully everything went well, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!